I just want front-end development that rebuilds fast and I don't have to tinker all the time. Possible? This is your first 5 minutes with Vite. This is First 5 unboxing videos for open source projects. You're writing a front-end project such as React. This usually means Babel and Webpack as your build tool and your dev server and plugins for those, etc., etc. If you add TypeScript, things get a little brittle and they get a little slow. Want modules with ESM? Prepare for some pain. If you're doing testing with Jest, things get dicier and slower. Throw in a monster like Gatsby and ouch. Enter Vite, ES build for pre-bundling on startup, TypeScript compilation, and JSX, native ESM, cold boot from 28 seconds to 1.5, sold. Can't unbox it if you can't find it. Vite is French for quick. Tu dis vite en français, easier to type, so let's go searching for Vite.js. And wouldn't you know, Vite.js is the first hit. Click on the first link and off to a beautiful and informative website, including a helpful guide with a getting started page that shows starting your first project. These scaffolds are not full-featured like Create React App. Maybe, thankfully. We'll invoke the scaffold like this example, passing in a template, in our case, React-TS. Over to my terminal, I'll run that command and go for a cup of, well, wait a second, it's already finished. Something is fishy. As the instructions say, I cd into that directory and do npm install and go get a coffee. Wait a second, something is definitely fishy. My node under modules is a mere 102 megabytes. For example, here is a fresh Create React App with TypeScript example. It is, by comparison, a lot bigger. Now, in all honesty, this is mostly because it has far, far fewer batteries included in the Vite scaffold, but also it needs less tooling. Let's get this into our IDE and poke around a bit, shall we? We found it. It's at our front door. Let's open it up and see it in action. We'll start by opening package.json and running the dev server. Wow, that started suspiciously fast. Let's restart it. Yep, it's a fast startup. I'll click on the link to open the starter page in everybody's freedom-loving browser, Firefox. We'll see how truly fast this is. I'll go to the app component and change a word in the text. When I hit save, it reloads really fast. I undo the change, then save, and you can see again, it's fast. Let me see if coding feels the same. Let's do autocomplete on the code template variable. Yep, same normal experience. How about autocomplete on ESM imports? I'll convert the counter to be its own component, then move it to its own file. Back in the main app, I'll delete the import, then autocomplete on the symbol, and my import gets generated. Did Vite's hot reloading survive? I'll go back to the counter component and change some text. And yes, the reloading still works. All in all, it just feels normal and fast. And take it from me, a lot less fiddly. We have Vite installed. We have it up and running. We poked around a little bit. Let's take it up a notch. I'm a big fan of test first. Vite gives me fast reload, first-class ESM, and less TypeScript fiddling. But can I get that for testing? Let's look at Vitest, the Vite test runner. I start by installing Vitest. I'll go to package.json and add it as a development dependency. Then install it. Vitest needs a config file, so I'll copy vite.config.ts to vitest.config.ts. I'll leave it as is for now. Next, I head back to package.json to add an npm script for it. Let's write a basic counter.test.tsx test file for this counter component. For the test, it is truthy, and I make an arrow function that expects true to be truthy. In my npm tools, I run the test script. I see that it passes. True is true. News at 11. Change true to false and save. Since Vitest is running in watch mode, it automatically reruns and fails. Undo, save, and it passes. But we're not testing our React component. Let's head to package.json and add two dependencies. Testing library as our test runner, then JS-DOM as our simulated browser. Then install the new packages. Back in our test, let's first add a preamble that tells Vitest to run this test file under JS-DOM. Then let's change our test to render a component, the counter component, passing it a starting count and an onClick handler. Once that's rendered, testing library can expect the screen to have text of 98 that is defined in the document. When I save, it reruns and works, and it was fast. Let's say I make a change and the test fails. Yeah, well, it fails fast. But I'm confused. Why is it failing? I need to run the test under the debugger so I can poke around. Let's first set up a debug-friendly test script in package.json. Copy the existing script, and let's call this one debug-test. We're going to run this without the watcher and with no threads to be more IDE friendly. I'll put this side by side with my code. That's the way I like it. I want to look in my counter, so I set a breakpoint there. I'll use package.json to run this npm script under the debugger. After skipping over a stray stopping point, I then land on the line of execution in my component. Well, test first development of React components with in-IDE debugging. Now that's a nice flow. And now our final segment on First 5, scorecard time. Is Vite safe enough to use? Let's see how it grades out. Website is great, tagline gets right to the point, and the feature boxes cover what I'm interested in. The guide is great, comprehensive, well-written, attractive. Getting started with the scaffold, easy to follow. Prominent link to the GitHub project, which shows a good description, but a minimal README. Lots of stars, an open source license, lots of releases, and the latest release has a link to a reasonable changelog. As you can see, it is very active. Evan Yu with most of the commits, but some recent contribution by others. Lots of open issues, but lots of closed as well. And that's Vite, as it says, the next generation of tooling for front ends. What's my take? I would love to switch to Vite and Vitest. I have a very obscure project with TypeScript and of all things, Python WebAssembly. But Webpack, TypeScript, and Jest, after a full day of wire wiggling, no luck, Vite and Vitest worked the first time out of the box. Insane speed combined with it just works. TypeScript plus ESM plus testing, sold. That's it for this first 5 on Vite. Can Vite overcome the huge installed legacy of Webpack? Share your thoughts down below. Thanks for watching. See you next time.